Oh, how about that? We're talking about our buddy Jayden Daniels. 17 to 26 doesn't jump out at you, but the 372 passing yards does. The 3 touchdowns do, and the 12 yards and 12 rushes for 234 rushing yards and 2 more touchdowns also get your attention. We knew he could run, Jayden Daniels. We talked about that last week in terms of the Alabama game, but he took over this game from start to finish. And you and I were chatting yesterday. If you don't get a hand on him after the first 3 or 4 yards, you might as well just walk to the sidelines and save your energy because he's going to end up in the end zone.
Yeah, no, it was a fun game to watch. He missed a couple throws, not always consistent on the back shoulder throws down the field, but he can throw the ball. I don't have any questions with his accuracy, much more accurate than he has been through most of his career. He can still put those darts down the field and give those receivers, especially Neighbors, who is climbing up my board as the number 2 receiver right now, although I don't have a board because I'm not contractually obligated to make a board or a mock draft.
A mental board.
In my mental mind. And, I poked a few holes in his red zone throws. I thought he could be a little bit more efficient there. But when he scrambles, and I said this a little bit yesterday, it's like when you were back in kindergarten and you had your kindergarten teacher, and he was a great high school athlete, but didn't play in college and thought he was an NFL prospect. And he's out there dodging the kindergartners when they're playing tag. This is what Jayden Daniels looked like running through the defense of the Florida Gators. I mean, his speed, his athleticism, his vision as a runner. And I said this, he's starting to look more and more a little bit like Lamar Jackson to me. The more you watch him throw, the more you watch him move, and the ability to make plays with his legs.
I wonder if you're a victim of Stockholm syndrome, where I just keep saying things over and over again and you start to agree with it, even though you don't know you're agreeing with it. Because I mentioned Lamar hesitantly last week, and you didn't bite my head off. So we're making progress, Rick. At least for 62 more days.
Yeah, well, that would be at how many? 62 days. Yeah. I really respect that you somehow came up with that comparison because it's very good.
Blind squirrel on that one. Debo has a graphic on if you're listening to us on YouTube. 300 passing yards and 200 rush yards in a game in FBS history. Jayden Daniels, of course, did it in the game we're talking about. 2021, Malik Cunningham did the same thing at Louisville. He's now with the Patriots. And Marcus Tuasisopo. That's it. There we go. 1999 for the Huskies. Actually saw him play a game against the University of Arizona Wildcats in Tucson 20-something years ago, and they carved that team up. That might have been the game for all I know, because that Arizona team was not very good. You mentioned missing a few of the throws, and I actually made note of one. He had, I think he had a tight end like on a switch.
Yeah, right down the sideline on the right side. Yeah.
And I watched it the first time. I thought he caught it, and I was like, wait a second. They're all walking back to the huddle, and he missed him probably by maybe a foot, maybe a little less than that. But those are the throws you want to hit. But other than that, there's a lot to like. I thought he threw with a little bit more anticipation in this game. That's one of the things I was talking about before. And, of course, we know what he can do with his legs. All right, Rick, we'll revisit the question. QB, what number for you after Drake and or Caleb?
I am moving him up on my mental board. Right now, I would put him at QB3.
Yep, our worlds are colliding, Rick, because of my latest mock draft, which came out Tuesday on CBSSports.com. I had Jayden Daniels going 16th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. He was my QB3 in that mock draft. 16 too high?
I think if he continues to play like he's playing and finishes out the season the way he is, continues to ascend, that it may not be too high. And we see this every year. And it'll be interesting with this quarterback class that how many teams fall in love with one of these guys in particular and end up going maybe higher than we anticipate. But there's a long way to go yet with the pre-draft process and everything. But you can maybe make an argument for 5 or 6 potential quarterbacks going in the first round.
All right, let's go through that quickly because I struggle to find the 5 or 6. So is Michael Penix Jr. first rounder for you? Because he is for me.
I'm just saying he's a potential option in the first round.
All right, and give me the 2 other potential options since we don't want to be married to these guys just yet.
Yeah, JJ McCarthy, if he comes out, would be 5. And then the guy I don't think, but your guy, which I can't say I cringe to say. But if Bo Nix continues to go the way he's going,
I thought you were going to say Spencer Rattler, in which case I was going to be really excited.
Rattler's like,
Yeah,
he's kind of fell off the face of the earth. I haven't heard anything about him.
Yeah, I got it. Someone tweeted.
Although I revisited that nightmare when I was watching some Georgia tape, and I actually happened to put on that South Carolina game when I was watching a Georgia defender.
He didn't play terribly in that game, except for the interception at the end.
Oh yeah, he's Clem.
It's funny about Bo Nix. I know that some teams actually like him. Certainly, what he's done post Auburn, and he had 2 good years at Oregon. And then some teams are hesitant about what to make of him.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that Texas Ewers is not coming out, because if he does come out, maybe I think he's behind those guys, and we talked about that in the past, just because of the durability concerns. But does he potentially sneak into the first round? I mean, that's where I was kind of like projecting maybe 6. I think 4 for sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Quinn Ewers came back last week and played for Texas after missing a couple games with a shoulder.
There's a report out there that he doesn't intend to come back to Texas for 2024. So that throws a wrinkle in that, and also the future of Arch Manning, who we'll be talking about probably in a couple of years on this show.
I'm sure we'll be talking. So someone will nominate him next week. We'll be talking about him next week, Rick. So get that going.
They have to be draft eligible.
That's the new rule that Rick has demanded.
I'm making a new rule that you can nominate high schoolers. That's my rule.
If you can get us a JV tape, we will watch it. Rick will watch it. I'll watch him watch it. Quinn Ewers, we talked about last week, to Tebow's little nugget there. He may come back but play somewhere else. Like that might be a situation too, because Arch Manning is there. Then the backup that played in Quinn's place did a pretty good job the last few weeks as well. So we'll see what happens. And he could just come out. We'll find out together. But as Rick has noted, we're early on in the process here. All right. So you think QB3-ish is a real possibility for Jayden, and I agree with that. He's fun, man. Any concern about the frame being slight or no?
No, and I haven't seen him in person yet, but he's a 6'4" frame, so he's going to be able an estimated 6'4". Who knows when he measures what he'll be, but it looks like there's room to physically to mature and add some bulk, good strength to that frame that he has.
All right, let me ask you one more thing about Jayden before we move on. And since we're both in agreement 100% on the Lamar Jackson comp, and I think you said he'll be better than Lamar Jackson in year 1, but don't clip that, Debo. Do you remember the sort of what your thoughts were about Lamar coming out of Louisville, and in terms of, did it match up with what we eventually saw? Because he's, I think, exceeded probably a lot of people's expectations.
I think the game has changed, where questions that you would have asked 4 or 5 years ago when Lamar came out, scrambling quarterback, can he throw from the pocket? Is he a traditional quarterback? But now you're seeing all these quarterbacks that aren't traditional, that maybe they were 5 or 6 years ago, that these young offensive coordinators are using the skill set of the quarterback and adjusting their scheme accordingly to give them the best chance to have success, where you didn't see that in the past.
Right.
And I've been with coordinators that said, no, he's not going to fit our system. I know, but did you see him? He's a freak athlete. I know, but he's not going to fit our system. Okay, then we're not going to draft him.
Gotcha. Let's get the guy that runs a 6-second 40, but can do a 7-step drop perfectly. I get it.